With his double World Championship title, it wouldn't be wrong to name Max Verstappen as one of the best drivers in F1. However, it seems the Dutchman doesn't want to dominate just the tracks of F1, as he's also looking to be a significant driver in virtual racing. Yes, he's indeed part of an esports racing team and he's killing it. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at this aspect of his life, so let's get right into it. Back in 2015, when Verstappen was wrapping up his last season with Toro Rosso, he made the move to take a step into the world of sim racing and has never left since then. For a sport that's being considered a career by the top drivers in the game, it's quite impressive that Verstappen is able to successfully juggle that and the demanding life of being an F1 driver. Apparently, before making the move to join Team Redline, he and the boss of the team, Atze Kirchhoff, have been working together for quite a while. After a couple of one-on-one training sessions with Kirchhoff, Verstappen decided it was time to join the team and has never looked back since then. Though he took a step behind from sim racing at some point in his career, he still kept in touch with the team, and when the time was right, he came back stronger and was even able to compete in competitions while being a significant member of the team that helped out a great deal behind the scenes. According to Kirchhoff, he became a team leader at some point and was not only driving but was leading others by explaining driving style as well as attitude towards the race, which seems quite logical as it's really not possible for sim racers to have the same attitude towards performing as real races because it's an experience they don't have. Nonetheless, Verstappen proved to be an inspiration to these drivers and even made time to help with the setup of the races, even on F1 weekends while in his motorhome, which is quite incredible considering that most sim racers are quite young and probably never even met him before. Undoubtedly, it's inspirational that Verstappen makes time from his busy weekend to assist drivers who most likely are racing in their basements with a setup just to make their racing experiences better. In fact, Kirchhoff noted that this was not an easy task, as after each race on the F1 tracks, the day doesn't end there, as drivers still have to participate in interviews after interviews, and once that's over, they still have to withdraw back to focus on the session as a whole. But remarkably, Verstappen still has the time and strength to continue his sim racing pursuits. Impressively, there are times when Verstappen needs to be in the car in about 10 to 30 minutes, but he's still messaging the group to talk about the setup later on. Being familiar with both worlds, Kirchhoff can't wrap his head around how versatile the Dutchman can be and is amazed by his capabilities. This same mental capacity is what allows Verstappen to interact freely even when sim racing without being affected at all. In comparison, Kirchhoff remarked that a couple of sentences could make him lose considerable time on his lap, but Max is able to multitask conveniently. And when the time was right, the Dutch driver decided to launch his own racing team. Therefore, on April the 12th, 2022, the Formula 1 World Champion announced the launch of his own racing team, Verstappen.com Racing. This newly formed team unites Max's real-world and virtual racing endeavours under a single banner, bringing together all of his racing-related activities. With Red Bull as a founding sponsor, it further enhances its credibility and recognition. The new Verstappen.com Racing logo prominently features the Red Bull branding alongside Max's personal website, Verstappen.com. The website, which hosts Max Verstappen content, fan engagement opportunities, and commercial activities related to the Red Bull racing driver, is integral to the new team's identity. However, it's important to note that there doesn't appear to be any direct ties between Verstappen.com Racing and Red Bull Racing or its esports team Red Bull Racing Esports. The team will be represented in the esports arena by Team Redline, with whom Verstappen has a long-standing partnership. However, the Verstappen.com racing cars will bear the team's unique livery and branding. This new venture marks an exciting development for Max Verstappen as he expands his racing portfolio beyond Formula 1. With a focus on both virtual and real-world racing, Verstappen.com Racing is well positioned to make a significant impact in the motorsport industry. While preparing for the virtual 24 Hours of Le Mans on January the 14th to the 15th in an effort to stay competitive ahead of the F1 season opener in Bahrain on March the 5th, 2023, Verstappen, when interviewed, couldn't hold his excitement. The world champion noted that he's enjoyed just how much recognition the sim racing is getting in the past few years and is glad to see everyone realise just how professional it can be as well. He notes, "We treat this like a real live race. We're fine-tuning the car's setup and testing it in the hottest and coldest conditions, in rainy and dry weather, and in both night and day. There are weeks of preparation that go into this, and a lot of people don't realise that." Then he further talked about his fascination with the sport and how it makes him a better F1 driver. The Dutchman explained that since he drives non-F1 cars in his sim races, he has to adapt and change his driving style to suit the car's demand. Hence, it's an ever-learning process with sim racing, and at the end of the day, when he returns back to his usual racing domain, he's better equipped with the experience. For instance, he explained that there are times when the setup of his F1 car might not be exactly what he wants, but he's still able to make the best out of the situation by drawing on all his various experiences with the simulator. However, following the unsuccessful virtual 24 Hours of Le Mans event, Max Verstappen and his Team Redline colleagues expressed their dissatisfaction with the platform used for the game. The poor quality of the platform resulted in persistent technical issues throughout the race, with Verstappen eventually having to retire prematurely as a result. During the event, the Formula 1 World Champion publicly stated his dissatisfaction with the platform, going so far as to declare that he would never participate in a virtual Le Mans event again due to the issues he encountered. Nonetheless, Verstappen is still going to be performing as a sim racer, as it's basically a part of him at this point. Though some real drivers might race on the simulator in their spare time, it's quite different for Verstappen, as he's not only racing for fun, but racing to compete. Team Redline boss Kirchhoff noted that this was an impressive attribute about Max, as he's not content with P2, rather he's always putting in more effort to stay above. When compared to James Baldwin, a professional sim racer and one of the best, it was really evident that Verstappen gave him a run for his money during the race. Baldwin made a pretty detailed video comparing his lap with Verstappen's, and it's pretty impressive to see how corner entry angles and little disparities in car setup can lead to different positions. Though the Dutch driver made a couple of mistakes during the race, he put on an excellent show. And it's almost hard to believe that the F1 World Champion is able to transition into sim racing with the best in such grand style. Regardless of his achievements in the real world, it's noteworthy that sim racing is still a tad different than racing on real tracks, hence it's really spectacular to watch him do that. With a full-time career in F1, the Dutchman can only part-time in sim racing, but is still able to rank top 3 amongst professional sim racers. This no doubt speaks volumes of his dedication and ambition. So, what do you think of Verstappen's work ethic? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below.